Hi, good morning. Corrie Thorne here, coming in to do the energy update. This is for June the 9th and following into next week. Um, and so the um, and so this will be a weekend and a week update. It'll have a bit of both. And so this week, this weekend, this week, today, I just feel this sense of calmness, a sense of peace. And like I just feel like almost as if heaven has opened somehow, like the divine has opened up this space, and there is this divine space, and it just gives us the opportunity to feel peace. Now, on the other side of that, I have to say that we do have some powerful divine feminine forceful energy as well, but it's going to be with us for like it's going to be active for like a long time. It just feels like it's like this feels like that sense of when the grandmother energy, the crone energy just has to take shit over and get shit done. That's what it feels like. And I'm like, sometimes we got to call on our higher self to do the work, to do the shit that we're not able to do, or that we're able to do, because we're often thinking we're processing, we're acting from emotions, we're acting from the wound itself, from the wounded healer, the unhealed healer. Like any of that aspect of self is those veils of illusions around that energy is being like kind of pulled down, revealed type of energy. We also have coming up, so because this is following us into next week, is that I really feel like something is like the universe is putting its brakes on, and something is halting and stopping. And it's like, it just feels like there is a collision ahead. And so if we don't want to get into the collision, we don't want to get into the catastrophic energy, is that we have to put the brakes on. We have to slow down. And I keep seeing a massive accident, like something big. Put the brakes on. Don't enter in. Don't keep going. If you see everything slowing, if life feels like things are not going your way, if things feel like they have resistance to it, don't push through the resistance. Put the brakes on and pause and reflect and ask yourself, is this a barrier or is this divine intervention? And it feels like there is a lot of this divine intervention energy to saying, I'm trying to keep you from going from getting yourself into this energy, from getting yourself into this trouble, from getting yourself caught in something where you shouldn't be. And it feels big to me. So that also may be the presence of something big happening in the universal energy, or something happening in the world. Like I wouldn't be surprised for us to see something like big collide. Like there is just this big collapsing energy, and everything is falling and crumbling. And I do hear there is going to be a big exposure. And I feel like this may even be the exposure of, the push, the active, because it feels like an active volcano, but it's not, it's like the active energy of activism to push an agenda and to keep forcing and pushing an agenda is going to be revealed. So it's going to just crumble, fall. So bring that into ourselves, is that if there's areas in our lives of where we've had this agenda to just make everything go our way, or if you have somebody else in your life that you're exposed to the master manipulation of something, it may be narcissistic, it may be it may be that rebellion kind of energy, it may be the control kind of energy. Where that energy exists and where you're feeling that energy, is there is going to be something that reveals itself, an exposure. And I'm like, it is. So it can feel turbulent. It can feel like that travel through another storm, but it just kind of changes narratives and stories. It changes the objectives and the projected energy, and it changes how we see people and how we see things. And that is kind of like, I see it like particles floating around. Like I'm hearing the whispers, I'm hearing the noise. It's like, it's just like behind the scenes when everybody knows something is coming and everything is supposed to be kept top secret, but it is leaking out amongst the organizations. And as it leaks amongst the chain of people, it drops down, and then it drops down to the energy that's not so loyal to the problem, not so loyal to the lies, not so loyal to that. And so that reveal can also be within selves, is that your soul is not going to be so loyal to you keep self-sabotaging yourself. It is revealing things to you. It is showing things to you. It is being honest with you. And so that honesty that you're feeling, sensing, seeing sometimes is saying, I'm speaking to you. What are you up to? What are you doing? How overboard are you going? How to extremes are you getting? Or is somebody else getting? And this can't keep going. There is a collapse that has to happen. It's like piling a whole pile of people on one bridge, and the bridge is only set for a certain weight. And then the bridge collapsed, and then we're mad at the bridge because the bridge collapsed. But where was common sense? And so as we move forward, and as we start going forward, there is, and I just finished speaking about this morning, there is one of the greatest intelligence we can have is to have common sense. And there is a lot of lack of that, just going to say, in a lot of areas, to be able to use common sense. And so common sense is going to be the greatest intelligence to help us move forward in the coming, I want to say in this next year, in this, like really, truly, like really contemplate things, really look at things, that hardcore truths are hardcore truths. There's things that are opinions and created that then create knowledge, and that they're, they come to conclusions. And then there's things we can't deny. And so these are undeniable. So when something is facing you and a difficult situation is facing you, or you finally get to see all the truth of something, you can deny it to yourself, but you can't, but your soul is saying, I've seen it, you've seen it, everyone sees it, we see it, and you can't keep denying it. And every time you live in the energy of trying to not see it, it kind of causes that frustration, the anger. So it activates more and more of the not true self. And so we may internalize, we may be internally angry, suppression, everything that we suppress and it represses, right? It comes out as everything we suppress creates this sense of a ripple effect to an attitude. And sometimes we need a massive attitude adjustment. And this world needs a massive attitude adjustment. And that's coming up big time. It's just like grandmother energy. So like that divine mother energy coming in, divine grandmother energy coming in to give a massive humbling. And sometimes we need that, the world needs that humbling. Sometimes we have to have these realizations, but also the sense of, it doesn't mean that we stop things from evolving. It means that it gives us an opportunity to correct the course so that the things that are evolving can carry some weight of truth, that we can say this and that is true, but also this right here needs to also find its place. And so that may be our sense of self. Like I have to find where the I that I'm creating belongs, but I also have to accept. And so accepting that we're not like that you may not be like everyone, that we're not here to all fit in, belong. We're not all here to be a kumbaya. We're not all going to all hold hands in one big circle and become all best friends, because energy doesn't work that way. Energy doesn't attract. We don't attract everybody into our lives, and you're not meant to. We're not meant to be that. We're not meant to be the saviors to everyone. We're not meant to, we're not meant to be in love and to be over the top happy every single day. We are here to learn to find that sense of balance within ourselves, and to be equal and balanced is not the same thing. Not everything in life is about equal. It is about balance. And when we find balance, we can work with the balance and we can create and we can evolve and we can move forward. But in order for that to happen, we have to look at the things that are really out of balance and to be able to bring that sense of balance back in. And so there's a lot of noise, but there's a lot of peace right now, but outside coming at us. And so it feels like this is like the calm before a storm. And it is the sense of being able to find that equilibrium within ourselves, to create that balance within ourselves, to know thyself, right? To be able to know thyself, to know what you are not. And so finding that within is huge. And that's why inner healing, inner child work, shadow work, soul retrieval, soul revival, right? That kind of work is so important at this time. It's not about so much about, oh, what does my loved ones have to say, which is also good, which is not a bad thing, but how can, from the wisdom they have gained from the other side, how can they help serve us now? How can the world of spirit, those ancestors, those who've walked before us, how can they help us to, it's not about staying in the exact same traditions, doing things the same way. If they had have been here, they would have evolved those emotions. They would have evolved those traditions as well. Some things are meant to evolve in specific ways, but also remembering the foundation of it, the root of it, to have that balance within us. Because we have to find sometimes what works and what doesn't work, right? So that's where balance comes in. And so using my ability to be able to connect to spirit is about connecting to your own spirit, connecting to the essence of you are more than your physical body, you're more than your mental mind. And so connecting to that self in a bigger way, but also that ability to be able to listen and communicate to spirit and ask spirit, from what they learned and what they observed, and now returning home to soul, what is it they really have to share with us? And it's not about, oh, this and that. Like, it's not about the everyday thing. I'm fine. Of course they're fine. You're not, you may not be fine. And if you're not fine, you have to figure out why you're not fine. What is it? What is it that keeps you in this repeat cycle? What is it that keeps the weak foundations? What is it that keeps you self-sabotaging, keeps returning to the victim story, negotiating that self off? There's just a whole list of things. So it also brings in that sense of taking that hero's journey and finding our way back to the self, and the self you've yet to know. And so this week's energy is actually like a long haul energy. So this weekend's energy, kind of take advantage of it if it's feeling okay. If you're already in the pool, and of course, a few months ago, I talked about how the masculine energy and how the masculines are like, we've had a lot of that feminine energy healing. And that's why the feminine energy can be powerful right now. But the masculine that was trying to be everything is now actually crumbling, and the falling of the veils, and that, that revealing of the unhealthy self, the mirror turned around to the masculine, and a masculine now has to look at themselves. And that means the masculine in ourselves, even in feminine energy, we all have masculine, feminine. So the mirror's turned around to our masculine energy, and for us to really look deep, and why we either judge it, why we reject it, or why we're too much in it, why we're overboard, right? On either direction of it, why we have, heal those masculine stories, heal the father wound, the grandfather wound, the masculine energy wounds, like really truly healing that, because we can't just heal this over here, the mother story, the female story. We have to heal all parts of self so that then we can get to this middle road. And so this to the middle road is known that we can all use the bridge and we can all walk the bridge, but we have to have some common sense of how many can walk that bridge. And so if we walk the line and we can all get over the bridge and we can all get to the other side, it would make more sense than everybody trying to pile on this bridge at one time. So we have to think, and we have to process, and we have to look at this and that, and we have to look at all sides of things. And so this gives us an opportunity in our relationships to look at all aspects. to really look at the self and to look at who we brought into the relationships, who we're bringing into our relationships, what version of ourselves, what hurts, what pains, what previous exes are still in your, is your partner still paying the price for? Is the people, your friends, your family, another woman, another man, paying the price for, a mother wound that every single woman is now responsible for? She's going to get the brunt of what a mother may have, what the story you may carry around, a mother's story. We have to really explore this, really look at how many people, how many people are paying, that are actively in your life, that have maybe not have caused anything, but they're still paying the price. You still can't trust, you still self-sabotage, you still betray, you still cheat yourself out of the healthy relationship. You still do those things. And this is all facing us, and it's looking at us in a hardcore way. And it's saying it's time for us to wake the fuck up. And it's time for us to really, truly question that which is trying to tell us what we have to believe, who we're supposed to like, who we're supposed to hate, the divide of it all. I'm like, all of this is bullshit, and it's all collapsing in a big way. And I'm like, and that's kind of exactly how this came into me. It's like, there's a lot of this bullshit story, and we have to really lock into this sense of higher self, common sense, and really ask ourselves, would that neighbor who was always there, always good to me, and all of a sudden I found out we have a difference of opinions or a difference in beliefs, would they all of a sudden become that big of an enemy to me? Who's really my enemy? And what kind of anger am I harboring and holding on to? And why has this become such an issue? Who told me to believe that? Who implanted that into my head? So the energy is actually here to help us to remove the imprints and the implants of those patterns, and getting us to follow a specific way and to be a certain way. But it's because we get to see other perspectives. There is a wake-up call. There is an awakening. There is a shift. There is a change. There is many things that are in this energy, but there is a sense of being at peace. And so we're all on a different journey. We're all in a different place within this journey. So you may be an observer of it happening within the world, and you may have already walked through it. And so a lot of this, I'm like, I just came through a lot of this, and I can tell you it has not been easy. It has been difficult, but what I feel on this other side, and this detox energy and being detoxed from some of this, and of course we're always a work in progress, but finding that sense of contentment and being at peace with ourselves is recognizing we're not going to get it all right, but we're discovering something about ourselves that allows us to live a sense of like contentment within ourselves, that the world is just going to be, and not everybody is going to be kind, and not everybody is going to be happy. But we're really seeing the immaturity in, like, the emotional immaturity, the spiritual immaturity. It's time for us to emotionally and spiritually evolve. And so self-realization, self-actualization, those type of things that sense of self is important. You can't fix what somebody else, even if you're watching them unravel in front of your eyes. You can't put a Band-Aid on it. You can't stop it from happening. Sometimes we got to let go. It's like set the bird free. And if it's meant to be yours, it'll always come back. Well, that's exactly it. And stop, put the brakes on. You have brakes in a vehicle for a reason. You don't just have a go button, right? So before you pass the trigger within is not to activate an anger response, is to stop you in your tracks and say, do I really want to go beyond this point? Do I really want to invest in this? Do I really want to respond to this? And sometimes the best response is to take the opportunity and turn it into sunshine, right? It's to use the water from the storm to water your flowers. It's to do the things that are out of character, out of norm. If you were quick to defend yourself, to respond, find another way, find a way around that, and discover that way around it. And you'll be so much more thankful and so much more happy that you did. And so over on the other side of all of this is a sense of we're starting to see some change happening. But there is some, like I said, there is some big energy. So I may be back in again and record this again on Monday or Tuesday to bring in some of this other energy, because I see it coming. I see it coming. I see that energy out there, but it's not, like I said, it's big, but it's not all there. And so a lot of this energy is actually about endings, right? And endings, when endings are happening, new beginnings have already started. So it's not about, oh my God, all of this is happening, but when endings are happening, new beginnings are happening, beautiful things are also happening. And so I did pull contentment, Contessa, get to the top of that self, get to that higher self, cross the bridge between the emotions and the heart, get over here into this sense of healthy communication, allow ourselves to see what are beyond what our human eyes connects to our memories, that our memories are and our emotions are creating the vision of what we see. Like there's so many more things that are happening. Climb to that top. She's flowing in love. She's flowing in self-love. Love can't be contained. Love can't be held. Just like nature, just like the elements, just like Mother Nature, shit's going to go sideways, shit's going to happen. And you never know when we're going to come up on something. Sometimes it just comes out of the blue. And I feel like some of this may come out of the blue. You may discover something new out of the blue. That's why it's so important to know you, to get to know you, and be with you. And then the way home, because this is where we're all traveling, right? And so the way home, and I always say this when when soul leaves that body, the body returns to the ashes, that time is done on earth. And they're like, our grief, our sadness, our hurt here, we're feeling intensely because that is love. The spirit, the soul returning home is returning to home. It's made its way home. Imagine going to grandma's house and you haven't been there for a very long time. You open the door and the smell of homemade bread and cookies, and there's a big hug waiting for you. Well, that's what soul gets to meet. And so we can meet this while we're on earth, that we can walk into the gates and the doors of our personal heaven while we know these things are happening. But, these experiences are still going to be here. And so all of these experiences are all happening at one time. So as the soul is meeting this, we're meeting our, when we go through that loss, we're meeting our personal hell and our suffering and our pain. And the soul is being greeted by grandmother love, right? And so it's got that, but does it have compassion? Is there that compassion, that feel for us? Yes. Is it okay? Of course. But what's right here is us. And we need to nurture that and acknowledge that. And we can't be where they are. Just like we can't be where somebody, if you've done no healing work, you can't wake up in the morning and say, I'm just going to be healed. You still got to do the work. And the work means sometimes we have to face the hard things. We got to put the brakes on. We got to stop running, stop avoiding. We have to face the hard things. We have to see the things and get ourselves back into like a ground zero. And it's a begin again. And so this is Mary. And here's the mothers, right? Here's this divine energy. And this is love, benevolence. And this is the divine love. This is divine kindness. This is the virtuous, right? So here she is. She's raw. She's naked. She's revealed. She's just coming through the light. But here's somebody over here who's already figured out, already got it. She's like living in her joy. She's in the awe, and God exists in her awe, right? And so she's found that about herself. And she's not envious. It's not jealousy. It's not judgment. It's observation that if she can do this, I can do this too. We can all do this. We can observe, we can learn from others instead of judging others, and just find that sense of self. And so that's emotion. And so benevolence, that sense of no longer allowing our vices to contaminate our virtues, to water it down. We got to, be honest with ourselves. Know that some shit is just not acceptable. And some shit is just us trying to make give our shadow a home here on earth. And we're living in a world of shadows. and it's a big ass masquerade. It's a masquerade party and everybody gets to wear the mask and create that. What if all the masks are taken away and all you can be is your true self? How will that look? That's your message. That's what we got for you this week. I hope this helps you in some way. Next Wednesday and Thursday, I do have a new mediumship. So it's angelic mediumship, and I am an angelic life coach. And so angelic mediumship and psychic. And then on the second evening, it is going to be advancing your psychic awareness. It's a one class, but over 2 evenings that I'm going to be doing on the 15th and 16th of June, I think it is. All the information is on my website in the section below. You can go check it out. It is, I think it's like $99 Canadian to join me. It's live, online, interactive. It is recorded. So if you can't make it to the live, you can always get the recordings afterwards as well. We will be coming soon with a release date for pre-orders for the Everyday Goddess Oracle cards, but the book is now much bigger. The box is bigger. The cards are the same size. Everything is now in print. The boxes have arrived. And so in the next little bit, you will be able to do your pre-orders for the Everyday Goddess Oracle cards. I got the hiccups all of a sudden. And so, yeah, I think that's all I have coming up right now. Have a beautiful weekend. Embrace the sunshine. It is very hot out there here in Alberta. And so stay replenished, stay taking care of yourself. And remember, it's okay to put the brakes on. You have brakes for a reason. Much love. Bye-bye.